Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. It's Saturday morning. Hope you're having a great day. And boy, we have a lot to talk about. I mean, what we've witnessed over the last week, I believe, are the early stirrings of an effort to pave Harry's path towards rehabilitation in the public eye. Of course, his work with his different endeavors kind of bought him a pass to the UN events this week. So we saw him there. And even though, you're trying to put out this image of him as a statesman on the public stage, huge faux pas. First night showed up, wasn't even wearing a tie, you know. Just bad behavior, giant motorcade, eight bodyguards and cops around him. He's really trying to push that I'm a very important guy and I need my A1 status and all of that kind of jazz, right? Well, so he's trying to create an image in the public. Now, things like appearing on the Jimmy Fallon show after, perhaps a high point, all these visible meetings, with the UN, important uh, rubbing shoulders with important people. And then he does Jimmy Fallon. I mean, that was a huge faux pas. He needs he needs to start taking things seriously. I do believe that there is a concerted effort behind the scenes, as rocky as things are right at the minute, a concerted effort to kind of ease him back into a public role. Not necessarily, and I don't think he'll ever be part of the royal family again, but kind of a statesman on his own. I think that's what we're trying to see. Now, that is not coming from William or the palace. And I mean, yeah, I think the king is, well, we know he's still financing Harry to a certain degree privately, uh, perhaps the security as well. We know his recent trip to New York was paid for by the taxpayers, New York City police, and private, got bodyguards. Perhaps those were Harry's alone. But and then we see footage that people, Harry sneaking into a tattoo parlor, still with the same entourage of security that New Yorkers are paying for him to have a jolly in a tattoo parlor. I mean, it's just Harry is still making these terrible mistakes. If he wants to rehabilitate his image, have people take him seriously, even though, I mean, we know most of what he's doing is just crap, right? But but there is something afoot, and then now we've just been notified that Harry will be going to Lesotho in October. Now, what's so important about Lesotho? Well, we know that since 2006, Harry's had a relationship with Prince Seeiso. I believe I pronounced that right. Seiso, I believe. He's, in Lesotho. They've been friends since they got together and co founded Centabelli in Africa, um, kind of in honor of, you know, Harry says his mother's work, and he went to Lesotho on what they call a gap year, the year between he finishes his high school education there at Eton, and before he went on to university or the military academy. He took a year off and, went and did sort of charitable things in helped villager in Lesotho, and he met the king or the prince there. They founded Centabelli to uplift children in the area to do good works, and I mean, Harry took that really seriously, and it was good for him. Of course, any of these charities and that kind of, that we know, and even Invictus Games, these are all managed and planned by the palace, for one, is certainly a player, and heads of these organizations, it's Harry's not thinking all this up by himself, right? There's a whole group of people managing any of these things. Centabelli's not that much different. The only difference is he is working with the prince, and they do have a close relationship. Now, how much Prince Say-So knows about what's been happening with Harry the last few years, and Meghan, and all the graft, and all the terrible things. He is still a friend, and he's bringing him over. I do believe that Lesotho will be footing the bill. The prince will be footing the bill for Harry's trip to Lesotho for the Centabelli events. Now, on one hand, this is brilliant, and this is what Harry should be doing, taking his serious work that he's done in the past and concentrating on that, just going back to that. Invictus and Centabelli. If he concentrated on those two things, get rid of all the climate change bullshit and chimp officer and mental health, in which he just comes off as a fool. And he's using them as much as they're using him. It's really... It's a real parasitical relationship. The only two, you could say, clean things would be Centabelli and the Invictus Games, and both of those at the moment need work. They need cleaning up. There's been all kinds of problems with Invictus, and a lot of the athletes aren't happy. Megan's involvement and all this kind of, they've basically turned Invictus into a slush fund for their private holidays, right? And that's got to stop. That's got to, he's got to clean that one up. And even with Centabelli and the backing of the prince and all of that, you have a big problem with Harry's involvement with African parks. He's on the board now. He was previously the president for something like 6 or 7 years. Now he's on the board of directors, and we know that there's been huge problems with African parks. The absolute horrible things happening to the locals by the game wardens and factotums that monitor the areas, right? Like I'm not even going to say the words on here. Terrible abuse, torture, the worst things you can imagine, and double it, right? And they're running these people off of their land, all in the name of conservation. Of course, if you're rich, you can afford to pay $10,000 a day to go on a safari in one of the parks. Yeah. But if you're one of the locals, watch out. you know? Your life is very unstable and at the mercy of these African part factotums that wield their power in a very wicked and violent way. So, and this is, Harry's never addressed it. Now on this trip to Africa, is he gonna mention it? I kind of doubt it. He's like the royal family always have done, never complain, never explain. He's trying to get away with saying nothing and hoping that his good works will outshine all the shit he's done in the past, right? That includes all the scheming and graft and his book and the Netflix, all the things with May. If he wants to move past that, there is gonna have to be some level of acceptance of responsibility on his part. I think to fully turn things around in the public eye, he is going to have to address African parks and the scandal, and he's going to have to do something about it. Um, I would, and I mean, what do I know? But at the very worst, what I would do, what I would counsel him to do is you got to step away from it. Just, it's going to look really bad, like you're really skirting your responsibility in a way, but it's just way too toxic. Just make a statement that you're stepping down, stepping away, and give an apology to the local people and say, I don't know what I can do anymore. I'm just, yeah, I'm a prince and I'm one guy, but they're not going to listen. It's corrupt, and I got to get away from something that's corrupt. People would, they'd be mad because he's kind of getting off and just walking away. Well, But on the other hand, over time, people will respect him for making a difficult decision, which we know that Harry's not very good at. None of these decisions are good. The mess he's got himself in is pretty bad. But yeah, if I were him, I would concentrate on Lesotho. I think this trip coming up with the prince, they have a good rapport. It's not a bad thing. And of course, the prince will pick up the bill for Harry. Now, we haven't heard a word as to if Meghan's going to be there. I don't think she is. I don't think she's going to be there. I think Harry's going to do this one solo. I think he's got some powerful friends, or at least he did. How much they still care for him after everything he's done. We know that there's been some problems with some of his good friends. Like um, we can take Tom Skippy Inskip, one of his best friends. He's also a friend of William's. They've known each other since their school days. Um, Meghan and Harry attended his wedding. Now, the thing about that though is it was early on in Harry and Meghan's relationship. I don't think they were engaged even then. Harry, she'd already made enemies amongst some of his friends, and Harry was trying to distance himself from her. She basically crashed the wedding. She wasn't invited, or she was disinvited. Harry was there. She showed up, and there's pictures and she was really demanding and rude and all. And since then, Inskip, and her like oil and water, um, she didn't want him around Harry, and he didn't want to be around her, but there is a lot of influence there. Skippy's father is a close friend of the king, so there's a lot of influence. Now, I don't think this rehabilitation project involve, the king may approve of it, but keep his fingers off it. So in no way it looks like they're trying to move Harry into his own thing. I think what they're trying to do is to create an environment such as Princess Diana did after she lost her HRH. Um, she had several private patrons. Now, what exactly is a patron? Well, it's a person that of great influence, wealthy, somebody that can pave the way for things to get done, somebody that can put the right word in the right ear at the right time to help their client, somebody that can facilitate things that need to get done. One of Diana's big patrons was the Lord Palumbo. He would take calls from her at 2 in the morning if she was upset. He'd jump out of bed and, go do her bidding. He financed a lot of things for her. He was always there. When you see the pictures of her in that black revenge dress outside the Serpentine Gallery, that was on the day that Charles's interview with Jonathan Dimbleby was aired, where he admitted to adultery. And then that black number was her revenge dress. Well, the guy greeting her in those photographs, that was Lord Palumbo. He had nothing to do with the Serpentine Gallery, but he's like one of her major patrons, And I think this is the situation with Harry. I think even despite everything that's been done, there are people behind the scenes. I think they pretty much know he'll never be part of the royal family in a working capacity again. But if they can basically set him up as in his own gig, and I think that the condition is that Meghan is not around. So now Inskip is right up there. He's one of his closest friends. Tricky though, because he's also a friend of William's. And in a situation like that, you're gonna side with the future king, right? Not an errant prince. Another one. I mean, Harry's is no lack of rich and influential people were in his circle. Jake Warren. Now, their daughter, he and his wife's daughter, was a bridesmaid at Harry and Meghan's wedding, and the Warren family has been close to the royals for a long, long time. Jake's father, John Warren, was the late Queen Elizabeth's racing manager. So close, intimate, almost friendly relationships there. A lot of influence. We've got Charles Van Strabensee and his brother Thomas. They've been friends since Ludgrove School, like since Harry was 8 years old. They've attended each other's weddings. They also share a mutual friendship with William as well. So there could be, with these guys, some back and forth between William and this is what we're doing for Harry. And I don't know. I kind of think the situation is so bad that these two, Inskip and Warren, maybe are staying a little behind the scenes. They don't want to fuss up their relationship with William, right? But and we've got another one, Arthur Landon. He's one of Britain's wealthiest young men. He's been a friend of both William and Harry. He's attended both of the weddings. You know, there's there's a lot of money, there's a lot of influence. There might be, what they could be, they might be saying to William, well, look, we'll help him kind of get situated and he can be over here and we'll keep him in his little box and do his little things and not interfere with you. So in that way, we're helping solve the problem of Harry. You know, I kind of think this is what's going on. You know, I kind of think so. And then we've got Guy Pelly. He's a well-known nightclub owner, and both of the princes attended his wedding in 2019. Now, thing about Guy, his mum was very close friends with Princess Diana. So there's a legacy relationship there where William and Harry both would trust the guy. They'd trust his judgment. Another one is the Duke of Westminster. Now, he's one of the richest guys in the country. And his family has strong ties with the royals. Earlier this year, there was a lot of controversy because when he married, it was like a $5 million wedding, right? Now, when he married, there was talk that William and Catherine were invited, but of course, because of their status, it might be tricky to attend. Also, whether Harry and Meghan, there was a lot of talk of, they were invited, but they just didn't want to cause a fuss, so they're not going to show up. I don't think they were invited, to be honest with you. All of these guys, right, and that I have mentioned, most of these relationships are with both the brothers. These are very rich, influential guys with close ties. These guys with close ties to the monarchy. They don't want to jeopardize that situation. But if they came at it in a way, said to William, like, look, we'll do this extent of any influence from the palace, so it's not going to look like you guys are fronting him or helping him or approve of what he's doing. But we can facilitate setting him up over here, keep him out of your hair, William, keep him away from what's going on, get him established in his own little things. Then when he's more confident about that, like, Harry has to come to the realization that he actually, no matter his status or perceived status, being a royal, ex-royal, whatever you want to, he's a private person now. He can't affiliate himself with the royal family anymore. He can't. And I think this circle of friends might be influence enough on him to pave the way for that kind of a thing happening, so that when William comes out and said, buddy, you're losing your titles, we're stripping you of all that, it's not going to be as desperate a blow, because he will have some charitable work and things to keep him busy to fall back on. And they'll be able to say to him, look, just like your mom, like, yeah, she lost her HRH. Well, you're gonna too, and you're gonna lose some titles. That's just the way it goes. You crossed a line. However, there's still a lot of good in you. There's still a lot of good in these charities. We will help you sort it out. I really think this is what's happening. I think this is what we're beginning to see it. And in a way, I think it is a good thing, because they will be able to influence Harry as to what's really important, what he needs to focus on, and how he needs to behave, and to ground him a little bit. He'll know there's people in his corner, which he hasn't had for 5-6 years. I believe the rehabilitation is underway. I think they're going to try to make Harry understand you're a private person now, pave way for the removal of his remaining titles. The Meghan question, I think one of the conditions is we will help you, but absolutely she can't be anywhere on it. No. There's no room for Meghan Markle. A separation agreement, divorce proceedings. We know that Meghan can't touch his inheritance money. We know that there was no prenup. We know there are no children. Meghan Markle is scrambling right now. I think she's pretty damn worried about what's going on. So it'll be interesting to see what her next move might be. But as far as watching Harry, I believe this is the early days. I believe this is the early days of a presumed reconciliation and rehabilitation. Now, whether it's going to work is another story. He's got to stop pulling stunts like this Jimmy Fallon crap and show himself to be a proper adult and a statesman on the world stage. That's the only way, and get rid of what's not working and concentrate on Invictus and Centibelli. Good start. And it's going to take years. But, just like back in the 60s, this is a playbook that's been done before. This is why I think I can see what's happening, because it's been done before in the 60s. The Profumo scandal, where John Profumo, he was a lord in, House of Lords or an MP, I can't remember exactly, but he was in government. Now, he was involved in a huge scandal, which I've talked about before, and his reputation was ruined overnight. Well, he just kind of went behind the scenes. He walked away. He hung his head. He walked away. He privately worked away at charities and didn't look for any attribution. And it took over a decade, but his reputation was rehabilitated. And I think, see, all of these rich guys I mentioned, all their fathers, all their parents are familiar with what happened because they're of that era. So I think this is what we're seeing take place. So if I'm right, we may see Harry step down completely from African parks and make a statement. That, I think, in my mind, would be the wisest thing to do. We'll have to see how this trip to Lesotho goes in October. I don't think Meghan's going to be anywhere on the scene. This is what I think is underfoot. Only time will tell. It's certainly worth the watch. Hope you like this video. like, subscribe, hit that notification button, share this video, please, and leave me a comment. I want to know what you have to say. We'll talk to you later. Have a great day, everybody.